Hello, everyone. I am here today to talk about time management. Time management from the perspective of the law of priorities. The law of priorities. The law of priorities. What are our priorities? What are the things that's getting our attention? Are they the things that should be getting our attention? Or is it that old adage that says the squeaky wheel gets oiled first? And sometimes, the squeaky wheel needs to be oiled, but that doesn't mean that you need to be the one that's putting the oil on it, right? So I'm going to jump right into this because I believe your time is valuable. And again, we're going to be talking about priorities in the context of time management, how to determine what should be getting your attention, how to, rank some things in order. Thank you for the hearts and thanks for joining me. The law of priorities. The law of priorities states that leaders understand that activity is not the same as accomplishments. Being busy does not mean that we're being effective. And as leaders, we're all busy. If you are indeed a leader, there's so many people that's pulling on you that need your time. They have questions. There are things that's needed. Whether you're a supervisor, whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, no matter what it is that you're doing, there are people that need your time and they need your attention. But just because you're being busy doesn't mean that you're being effective. And that's what this is about. It's the question we really have to ask is not how much activity do we have, but the question we have to ask ourselves is, are we producing fruit or are we being effective? Is the bulk of the work getting done? Are the things that are most urgent being done quickly or not even necessarily quickly, but effectively? So we'll look at 3 R's, right? What is required, your return, and your reward. Required, return, and reward. What's required? What must I do that nobody else can do and nobody else should do? Because a lot of times we're doing the things that our assistant can do. We're doing things that we can delegate to other people. What is required? Let me give you an example. There was a time when my assistant was struggling in a particular area and I was doing my assistant's work. But when I went before my supervisor, because every coach got a coach, right? Every supervisor has a supervisor. What they said to me was, well, now we have 2 people not doing their job. Your assistant is not doing her job and you're not doing your job because you're doing your assistant's job. So you have to make sure that you have somebody in place that can do those things that you may be able to do, but you don't necessarily need to be doing. So what's required of you? Here's a good rule of thumb. If your assistant or somebody on your team can do those things 80% as effective as you, delegate those things. If they can do it 80% as good as you, delegate it to somebody else on the team. So what is required? The second R is return. What gives you the greatest return? Another way to look at that is what is it that gives me the best results with the least amount of effort? What are those things that you're gifted in? What are those things that you're especially skilled in that it does not require all of you and all of your effort, but you can get it done, right? The best results with the least amount of effort. Those a lot of times are the things that you should be focusing on. Make a list. Make a list. I know this is very basic, but it helps. Make a list of the things that you need to get done. Now, we've already delegated what needs to be delegated. Let me give you those three D's, right? What do I do? Delegate and dump. Do, delegate, and dump. As you go through your day, as you go through your emails, as you go through the things that are demanding your time, demanding your attention, you'll put them into 3 categories. There are some things that only you need to do, and those are the things that you'll put on your list. Those are the things that require your time and attention. There are things that you need to delegate. That's that second category. You'll take those things and you hand them off, and then there are things that you need to dump. They do not require your time or the time of your team. Maybe you need to shift that to another another department, or maybe it's just not something that you're even interested in doing. For entrepreneurs, that's important. Do delegate and dump, because every client is not your client. You have to understand what it is that you're gifted in, what it is that you desire to do, what it is that you give your best in. Just because somebody wants you to do it and it's going to require everything you got and all your time and all your attention, is that really the area that you want to serve in? Let me see. If you are an event planner, and you love doing events and you love setting up events, but I need a virtual assistant, and I see that you're really skilled in details, and so I want to hire you as my virtual assistant. You're not a virtual assistant. You're an event planner. Why would you even take that assignment? Refer me off to somebody else. So that's what I mean by determining what are those things that you need to do, those things that you need to delegate, and those things that you need to dump. Every client is not your client. Every assignment is not your assignment. Make sure that you're comfortable moving those things out that do not go into your, is not something that you actually do. So when this part is basic. So after you've done step one, which is to decide what you're going to do, what are you going to dump, and what are you going to delegate, you will make your list. I know this seems very basic, but listen, hear me out. When you make a list of the 10 most important things and you rank them in order of importance from 1 to 10, where 6 is really number 6 and 10 is really the least important on that list, even if at the end of the day you only got items 1 and 2 done, you have accomplished the top 20% of what needs to be done in that day. You've done more than what most people do all day. Because think of it this way: if you are a pastor, it could be a pastor, you could be a supervisor, and have a lot of people that connect with you. You have different categories. You got your, let's do it from a business perspective. You have your top level executives, your supervisors, your managers, and the employees. And a lot of times the employees, the laborers, may have a lot of needs. There are things that I need. I need your attention. I need your time. I need to be trained. I have questions. I have a lot of needs. The CEO is not the one that's handling the needs of the laborers. Their needs are important. The laborers are valuable. You have to have everybody. Everybody plays a part, but that's not the CEO's responsibility. That's the manager's responsibility to take care of their team. And that's what I mean by prioritizing. Just because you can do it does not mean you should do it. You should have people in place that you can delegate to. And as top level leaders, if you pour into your leaders, then those leaders should be duplicating what you are showing them. And now each level has a group that they're supervising. So the CEO is pouring into the executives. The executives are pouring into the supervisors. The supervisors are pouring into the managers, and the managers are pouring into the laborers. And that way, everybody is being taken care of. But the CEO cannot touch all of those people and still be effective, because there are some things that the CEO has to do that the laborer cannot do. So you have to make sure you're doing what it is that you are required to do. And just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. Right? And then the last thing is what brings you the greatest reward. So we've talked about what is required of you, those things that only you can do, what brings the greatest return, knowing when to delegate, and those things that give you the best results with the least amount of effort, and now reward. This is the cool part, right? Being able to do something that you really enjoy doing. Those are the things. Listen at this. This question is, the question for leaders is not, will your calendar be full? Because if you are a leader, you will have a full calendar. The true question you have to ask yourself is, are you the one filling your calendar? Are you really going through the steps to determine what things you desire to do, the things that will bring you the greatest return, the things that will bring you the greatest reward, where you're actually working in your sweet spot? Yeah, that sweet spot, that gift, that talent, that ability that you have, that thing that you can do. It doesn't even require a lot of effort because you're so passionate about it. Are you working in your sweet spot? So will your calendar be filled with activities, things that allow you to work in your area of giftedness, or are you just being busy? That's my perspective on time management and priorities. Being able to identify who you are, what your purpose is, where your strengths lie, and being able to work in those areas. And in the areas, some areas that you may not be as strong in, but you have people around you, people on your team that you have empowered. You've given that power to them, you've trained them, and you've released them to work in that area. Make sure that you make your do, delegate, and dump list every day. Make sure that you reflect weekly, reflect monthly. Make sure that lastly, you take care of yourself in all of your business and serving other people. There has to be time for you. There has to be time for you to do reflection. There has to be time for you to take care of your health. There has to be time for family. There has to be time. All of these things, you have to have balance. Otherwise, no matter what your list look like, you'll be burnt out. And if you're burnt out, even those things that was your sweet spot now become burdens, because we're trying to do things we were never created to do on our own. I encourage you to build a team. I encourage you to empower the team. I encourage you to release your team. Allow them to help you so that you can effectively prioritize your day and you can effectively do those things that are your sweet spot, that area that you get the best return with the least amount of effort. Have a great day.